Hi guys, so we're busy packing here in Reykjavik, moving in about a month's time, and I want to show you a couple of our books. I've packed a couple that, the Poetic Edda and more, but this is Flateyr book. This is one of the most prized of the Icelandic sagas. It's actually a collection of many sagas, and for example, the story of Erik the Red is here. You can see it here. Most famous of the saga manuscripts preserved, written 1387, so 13th century, late 13th century, and containing, amongst others, the sagas of the Faroe Islands, the Orkney Islands, Jómsvíkinga saga, or Knytlinga saga, saga of Erik the Red. All the stories about the Norse Leif the Lucky when he discovered North America and so forth. Hi Bernadette. So hope you see how big it is, my hand. And so this is, not sure, I don't remember, this is from 1930, I believe. Maybe it's an earlier edition. But so it basically tells you the story about the latter half of the 12th century and the beginning of the 13th century. The Icelandic sagas are, of course, like our most prized heritage. All the Norse mythology and the stories about the Norse kings and a lot of the Scandinavian history is written in the Icelandic sagas. So this is basically, as you see, printed into this paper from the old vellums. Vellum is like the skin from calves, and I believe it's 237 calves needed for that, the Flateyr book. This was written by two priests. Took several years. I think they originally started this in 1387 and didn't finish until 1994. And as you see, everything was written, and they were using these usually like a start of a sentence they use like this special inclination or letters. Yes, Evelyn, they cost a lot. These books cost a lot. And I like this the thorn or TH letter here, H here. I can read some of the words here, but it's a bit hard. And this is basically the story of the Norse mythology, now of the Erik the Red, the Orkney kings and whatnot. I'm not sure why my gimbal is giving up on me. Yes, it's not working. Brilliant. So yes, this is basically that Flateyr book, or the Book of Flatey Island. This was And then we of course have, I'm just packing this, so this is like a history of Iceland with some pictures and whatnot. Here are two books recently added. Basically the first, from the First World War and the Second World War. Icelanders being the ever optimistics, we call it the early World War and the late World War. So we're not talking about the first, the second, and then the third is coming. We talk it like it's, it was the first, now it was the early, and then the late. So we don't count for that. Maybe there will be a third one. Hopefully not. But these are, just telling the stories about what happened in Iceland during the Second World War, all kinds of things that were happening, and also just around us in Europe, and how we lost a lot of boats. Of course, the sea around Iceland was festered with U-boats, and the occupation, and here we have some history about the First World War and how some inclination of what happened in Iceland, but also just telling you a story about the First World War. And and we are saying that we are we are without war in Iceland. We will not serve in any army, and we are free from any warmongering. Here is about farming in Reykjavik. Some the history, how Reykjavik transformed from farming. My gimbal is simply just breaking up. Okay. And the history of Christmas, a little bit of talking about the history of the Christmas traditions in Iceland. I'm just gonna simply grab my phone off the gimbal because it's simply not working anymore. And what do we have here? Christianity of Christmas, or how Christianity took over Christmas, because of course Christianity, long before Christianity arrived, this was a pagan festival lights. The Christmas cat, and talking about some Christmas traditions like the Advent lights and Þorláksmessa, the day before Christmas, which is basically when we celebrate one of the only saints of Iceland, called Þorlákur Þórhallsson, Skálholtsbiskup, was a bishop here, and he was a holy man 5 years after his death in 1198. And so it's a tradition of eating fermented stingray or skate on the 23rd of December. So you would eat something rotten the day before the festivities started. And there are a couple of you were supposed to fast before Christmas, but you could eat fish. So yeah, you would eat dried fish, shark, fermented haddock. Oof, that sounds good. And ocean catfish. Yeah. So this is like, yeah, all kinds of Christmas related Christmas creatures. And this is a story from Grettis Saga, one of the Icelandic sagas called Grettis Saga. And there's a talk about the ghost called Glaumur, or he starts off being a slave, but he died. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into all the history, but basically he turns into a ghost, and finally Grettir needs to fight him. Grettir the Strong. And Grilla, the mother of the Santa Clauses, and here are some poems about that. Grilla catching some children's soup. And history of the names of the Santa Clauses. These are the most common, the 13 Santa Clauses, but actually there were a lot more. There was, for example, Redda, Sledda, so there were some women Santas also. So, yes. I'm not sure why it's having such a difficulty in focusing. Yes, so Christmas. Frímerki. Dropped out of my mind. But anyway, and then we have like the map history of Iceland. Hi Peggy. So this is from the end of the 16th century to the 1848. All kinds of maps of Iceland. Yeah, and tells the story about the history of the maps, and as you see, Thule, Iceland. So many believe that the Norse, Irish monks, or maybe a Greek guy, found Iceland long before the Norwegian settlers. So this is basically from the beginning of time until the 16th century. So this is the early part. Heather, I believe this kind of started with putting the shoe out for the Santas. I believe it didn't really start until the 1920s, something like that. So no wonder, because the Western Icelanders left in the late 18th century. So yeah, it was a little bit earlier for that tradition of that the Santas started behaving a little bit better. So, and here's basically they're telling that maps of Iceland are they started to make maps of Iceland from the year 1000, but very, very sketchy maps. And very early people started to collect them, connected to the history of the Thule, and to tell you a little bit more about that, this is a map from Eskimos of the coastline of Greenland. And here's a map from the Marshall Islands. I'm trying to find yeah, so I think there was a Greek so for example, here's a Norwegian monk called Þjóðrekur. He wrote the history of Norwegian kings in the last quarter of the 12th century, and he talks about the discovery of Iceland, which many believe is the island Thule. So Thule, or the Ultima Thule, is based on that there was a Greek. I'm trying to find the name of it. Where's the name of it? The guy. Okay, sorry about that. But there's a Greek guy that he sailed to the. I have his name in the back of my head. But yeah, anyway, he traveled. He went all the way to from Greece and from the Mediterranean, sailed across the British Isles, and some believe that he went all the way to Iceland, and he called it the Ultima Thule. So that happened, I think, around 300. You know, Iceland wasn't settled really until around 870-ish, 870, and but we have all reason to believe that the Irish monks came here long before that. We believe that some people came here hunting for walruses and fishing, and before this actual settlement of Iceland. So it was more like a where you went to for the summer and hunted, but then you simply traveled back. So yeah, I just want to show you these couple of these books that I have here. We've been packing like a lot of great, wonderful books that will have to stay in boxes for a couple of years. It's always a little bit sad. So, the circle of the earth, or kringla heimsins, are according to the ideology of Icelanders and Norwegians in 12th and 13th century. So this is the sea, because they believed that the earth was kind of like a dish or flat. That was Asia, Africa, and see Iceland over here, wilderness, and Helluland, Markland, Vinland, North America, Newfoundland and Canada. Mediterranean. This is basically Norway. And Grönland. Pythias, yes, that's the name. Thank you, Heather. Pythias of Massila. Interesting character. That. Yes, maybe Evelyn, I will do a podcast when I travel, when I move to the UK and I have some time on my hands. Maybe, who knows? Who knows where this adventure will take us? But anyway, yes, just wanted to show you a couple of books. Scotia. So this is probably Iceland, right? Iceland, Norway, Anglia, UK, Scotia, Lundia, Flandria, Gallia, Normandia, Britannia. So yes, anyway, just a quick peek into the crazy books, some crazy books. Bless, bless.